Good evening and welcome to Collector Cars. I'm Lance, your host. With me in the studio, and we have prepared this for you folks. It's Bill and Bill, Mr. Trier.
Oh,
how you doing?
Good.
Mr. Mergens.
Lance.
How you doing?
Yeah, Mr. Trier, how are you, buddy?
Yeah. And we frisked them to make sure there was no playing cards.
We were going to play, rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, while you were, but, well, let's just go on.
Hey, but you couldn't remember the rules.
I know it.
Junior's Trim Shop in Venice. You know, there was a kids game or something we used to do, and I was trying to, I had heard it on a movie or something, and I sat there the rest of the movie trying to figure out how that dang thing went. I couldn't remember it anymore, and it was something that kids, that we did all the time. But anyway, let's talk first about the weekend. 4-show weekend. Whew, took me till Wednesday to recuperate.
That's today.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure he's paying attention to what
Make sure I know what I'm doing. Huh?
What day of the week it is.
But yeah, it was a long weekend, but we had some great stuff. Bill was out with us Sunday. I know you weren't with us for the weekend. You had.
We'll talk about why that was.
We'll talk about why that was a little bit later. But Bill was out at Kimmel Lumber. I thought that was a great show.
It was a great show and a great attendance, and the weather. Oh,
the weather was fantastic.
Perfect, yeah.
We did the 2 shows Saturday. Barb Bennett had a wonderful turnout. I think she told me she tripled her number of registered participants from last year. They going some when you triple. She had Vern Buchanan out there. She had the lady golfer out there. They really, really worked hard on this. Her and Connie and Bill and Jet and all of them from the VW Club and stuff. And just wonderful people. They put on a great show. Then we had Wendy's, Saturday night. We had a great time out there. Didn't have a huge crowd, but it was a big weekend. You had Tervis Tumbler.
The day before, on Saturday.
Right. You had a 2-day show down at Gilchrist Park.
AACA Peace River Region Show.
Right. Are you going to narrate these as I do that?
No.
He's clarifying for the people.
You're forgetting all the facts, so we thought we'd fill in.
Well, that's what you're here for, is the facts.
That's right.
Anyway, it was a weekend loaded with shows, and all the shows that I heard about had great turnouts, and everything went beautiful. So that's a neat thing. What we have now, Bill Trier is on tonight. The next, I know everybody, they're expecting, they see you now, and they're thinking, oh, what's he going to do now? The next one that you're going to do, the next research project, is going to be accessories.
All kinds of accessories of cars, yeah. Some of the really strange ones, unique ones.
Funny ones.
All kinds of them, yeah. There's some really different ones. So
I like that one you told me about.
And some of them are on the cars that come to the shows. I want to try and get some of the pictures of some of them on these cars
on the cars.
Show. That's why it's taking a little more time to do it, because I'd like to get some of the accessories that are on some of these cars that people have that
very cool.
You just don't see anymore. Don't even know they were there.
Right. And now you don't even have accessories. You don't even have ashtrays. I'm one of the few smokers left at $48 a pack now, or whatever the heck it is.
$48.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to the point I'm going to need a loan to get a pack of cigarettes. But even cars today, you see really none of that. Options, yes, but really accessories or anything.
No, they're all included.
You haven't had
get
that
the whole
in years and years. But what I wanted to say is that you watched a lot of the Barrett-Jackson recently, this last few weeks.
Yeah, that one was Palm Beach. That was.
As an auto appraiser, I mean, you do a lot of research on this stuff. What was your take on that? I mean, we saw some cars that seemed to look like pretty good deals. Almost like, wow, how come they're selling that so cheap? And others that it was like, holy smokes, I didn't think it was worth that much.
Well, there was, over and over here, again, you heard the comment for quite a few days through those shows, and on the weekend, the commentators saying, that was a well-bought car. Mm-hmm. Well, that meant it went low.
Yeah.
Or a lot lower than usual. And a lot of those cars, again, were in that range of 60, 70,000 and below, because there's so many cars flooding the market that people have to get rid of right now, because they're in the dire straits, and they're flooding the market with them, so they just aren't bringing a lot of the money they should, and there's some beautiful cars that are going for low prices. It's a real buyer's market. It's a time, if you're looking for a car, to buy one. It's sure not a time to sell one. Because
what about these guys that flip cars?
Well, if you know what you're doing, and a lot of them do, they know how to buy even when a market's bad and still flip and sell. They're not going to make the bigger money they normally would, but they'll make a percentage of a markup in there.
Just like the stock market.
And it's a lot of the hobbyists do that to support their own hobby. I mean, they don't sell 10 cars a year, but they might flip by and sell a couple, and
a couple here, a couple there.
Yeah, and
it's like anything else. I just mentioned the stock market. Even in a slow economy, as much as the markets have come down, there are lots of guys who've made money here recently, big money.
Right. Now, if you notice,
knew what to do.
If you noticed on the auction, the cars that were going 125 and on up, when you get into that range, those cars are so rare. They're so rare to find, and they're hard to find. So when you see it come up on the block, if you've been looking for one, you may never see one again, or maybe a long time before you get a chance. So you're going to be going ahead and buying it.
More apt to go
and in that range too, you're in a class of people that can write the check usually, and it's not going to bother them. And they're not throwing money away, but they have the money, and they'll buy it. You know, and that's what you were seeing on some of these cars that were bringing some pretty good dollars.
Should people with, say, you know, I don't want to use the term lower end because most all these cars are expensive, but the below a certain dollar range, you know, what I'm hearing is that the bigger dollar cars and so forth, the more rare cars, they're holding their value. Should people who have classic cars be concerned about their values on, you know, on your $20,000, $30,000, $35,000 cars today?
Right. On any of the cars, the value of the car is based on a trend line, and a trend line goes over a good many years, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe 10 years. So the trend line is always increasing up, but in the time span, you're going to have the sales fluctuate,
have your ups and downs
of your prices.
Right.
And so, and that's common. That happens a lot. But they'll come back. When they come back, they go up again. That's why the trend line keeps going up. So if it's a car that you've been keeping and you want to keep and you like it, you're all right with your car. It hasn't lost its value. If you have to sell it though right now, you could be having a hard time maybe getting the price you like.
Well, you see, so many people today are thinking along the lines like gold is up, that has held its value, silver's up, diamonds are up, jewelry, which my wife keeps reminding me that all that stuff is up in value. But anyway, might be a hint, you know, with an anniversary coming. But these cars are going to hold their value.
Yeah.
If people don't, you know.
You know, you'll just look at the old cars price guides. And I mean, I got stacks of them in my library at home to go back 30, 40 years ago, way back when I first started doing it. And they always keep going up. They always keep going up.
Okay.
But you'll have those fluctuations. You remember back when the 76 Eldorado, the last convertible, when that was announced that was going to be the last year of the Cadillac convertibles, people bought those things and hoarded them and put them away and sat on them. And then later on, some convertibles start getting made again. It wasn't the last convertible.
So
there's an Alante all of a sudden, and there's other. So now some of these cars start coming out in the market. Well, when they first came out, you could get some pretty good bucks out of one of those cars, but all of a sudden they came out everywhere.
Yeah.
And you know,
so you never know, but the
value fell because there was too many in the market, and now it's going back up. Same thing happened to Mustangs.
Yeah.
The Mustangs, when they first started becoming popular, boy, the prices went up and up and up on them. Then all of a sudden there was a big market for Mustangs, and there's Mustangs everywhere. Because like we talked about that other show, we said the Model T, the Volkswagen, and the Mustang, they had the longest run of building cars. So there's so many of them. Yeah. And it flooded the market. Now they're stabilizing, and the market's going up on them again. So it's always a good investment if you're going to hang on to it. But if you're going to just buy it to play with it for a year or so, or you know,
it's not the thing to do.
Yeah, if you're going to, well, if you're going to buy it now, buy it right. If you're going to
stick with it and go to Lance's car shows, it's a good thing.
Right.
All right.